Welcome to the Menlo Atherton Writing Center's Writing Tips video series. In this video, we will be going over how to develop and write a solid thesis statement for persuasive and literary analysis essays. Before you begin outlining or writing an essay, you must first come up with a thesis statement, basically a sentence that tells the reader what your essay or paper is going to be about. Many students find coming up with thesis statements difficult and oftentimes frustrating. Hopefully this video will help to relieve some of that frustration. This video will explain what a thesis statement is, the various parts of it, when it is best to form a thesis statement, and will provide step-by-step instructions on how to create a solid, final thesis statement using a persuasive essay prompt as an example. If you would like to see more examples of how to create a thesis statement using this step-by-step process, check out our other video entitled More Examples of Thesis Statement Creation for Persuasive and Analytical Essays. Before we begin, we need you to keep something in mind. The ideas and process covered in this video are not the only ways to write a thesis statement. There is not one way to write a thesis statement. This video is just providing you a few tools for your writing toolbox. For example, for longer papers, such as research papers, a thesis is oftentimes more than one sentence long. For this video, however, we will be focusing on one-sentence thesis statements. Let's first define what a thesis statement is. In the simplest of terms, a thesis statement is a sentence that contains a subject and an opinion that tells the reader what your essay is going to be about, and it usually comes at the end of your introduction. A thesis statement that you come up with is an answer to a question or questions posed by an assignment you have received from your teacher. The assignment may have asked you to take a position on a specific issue, such as climate change or immigration, or may ask you to analyze and interpret a character, literary devices, and/or theme in a work of literature. Before you create a thesis statement, it is first important that you understand the essay prompt or writing assignment you have been assigned by your teacher and what it is asking you. You must then brainstorm ideas and take notes to develop an answer to the question or questions posed by the assignment. Once you have brainstormed and gone over your notes and have developed an answer to the posed questions, you are ready to write your thesis statement. We are now going to go over a three-step process on how to write a solid thesis statement. In the first step, you will come up with a simple working thesis statement. In the second step, you will come up with the main points you will cover in your essay that help support your thesis. In the third and final step, you will add these main points to the working thesis to create a more solid, complex thesis statement. Let's go through this process step by step with an example. Once you have brainstormed and gone over your notes, you will develop what is called a working thesis, which is a basic answer to the question posed by your assignment. A working thesis is like a rough draft of your thesis statement, and you will add other elements to it through other steps in this process to make it a more solid and complex thesis statement. Think of a working thesis statement as a simple equation that is made up of a subject and an opinion on that subject. It would look something like this. Subject plus opinion on subject equals a working thesis statement. So let's see how we can put this equation to work. For example, let's say you've been asked to write a 5-paragraph persuasive essay using this essay prompt. Choose an NFL football team and explain how they are the best or worst team in the league. After you have researched and compared the teams and their statistics, you need to first choose a team, which becomes your subject, and then state whether they are the best or worst team in the NFL, and that becomes your opinion. Let's choose a subject and an opinion and plug it into the working thesis equation. A reminder that it is subject plus opinion equals a working thesis statement. Plugging those in, we get the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. Sorry, Raiders fans. This is what we call a working thesis. It has a subject and an opinion, but not much else. It merely provides a simple answer while also repeating the essay prompt. It doesn't tell us what specifically we are going to look at to help show that the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. We need to develop some main points in order to expand our thesis, and this is where step 2 comes in. Now that we have a working thesis, we need to come up with main points to help support it. And these main points will help provide a roadmap for the rest of the essay. Main points are important traits or ideas about your subject that you most likely came up with while brainstorming or researching for the essay. These points will be added to your thesis to expand it and make it more solid, and are what you will be analyzing in the essay in order to help support your thesis statement. These main points are what each of your body paragraphs in your essay is going to be about. You will have one main point for each body paragraph in your essay, so if you are writing a standard 5-paragraph essay, you will need a minimum of 3 main points. If your essay is longer, you may need more main points, and if it is shorter, you may need less. When using main points in your thesis statement, they should be kept broad. You will get into specifics about them in your body paragraphs. Let's again look at our working thesis statement. The Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. In order to come up with main points for this thesis, we need to ask ourselves a question. What do we need to research and analyze about the Raiders to help illustrate that they are the worst team in the NFL? When measuring a football team's success or failure, we need to look at statistics of the team itself and compare the same statistics to other teams in the league to show if the team is successful or not. Since we are talking about football, it is important to look at the following statistics for teams and compare and contrast them. Defense statistics, offense statistics, and special teams statistics. What is great about coming up with main points is that they not only give you something to add to your thesis statement, but also help create structure and organization for your essay. Each main point will be the topic of the body paragraphs of your essay. For this example, each of the main points we just came up with will be covered in a separate body paragraph in the essay in order to show that the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. The first body paragraph will cover the Raiders' defense, the second body paragraph will cover the Raiders' offense, and the third body paragraph will cover the Raiders' special teams. As you can see, not only do we have main points to add to our thesis statement, but we also have the complete structure and organization for our essay. Right now, however, we need to add the main points to our working thesis statement to make it a more complex, solid final thesis statement. This is where we move to step number 3. In this final step, we want to take the main points we just came up with in step number 2 and add them to our simple working thesis to create a more solid and complex thesis statement. This will take a bit of fine-tuning on our part, as we want to avoid just listing them in the thesis, so we'll have to add some words to make the thesis flow. So let's look at how we do this. Here is our simple working thesis statement. The Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. Here are the main points we came up with in step number 2 that we want to add. Defense statistics, offense statistics, and special team statistics. Now, let's add these points to our working thesis and fine-tune the wording to come up with our final thesis statement. By looking at the Raiders' defensive and offensive record, as well as the performance of their special teams over several seasons, it is clear that the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. As you can see, we didn't just list the main points in the thesis, but added some words to make the thesis flow into the simple working thesis statement. This is a more solid and complex thesis statement that shows the reader what your opinion is on the subject and what you are going to be looking at throughout the essay to support that opinion. So let's review what we have gone over in this video. In simple terms, we defined a thesis statement as a sentence that contains a subject and an opinion on that subject, and tells the reader what your paper is going to be about. A thesis statement must clearly answer the question or questions that have been presented to you in an essay prompt or assignment you have been assigned. A thesis statement cannot be developed until you have understood and brainstormed or researched the questions being asked of you in the essay assignment. We then went over the 3-step process to write a solid, complex thesis statement. Step number 1, come up with a working thesis statement that simply contains a subject and an opinion. Step number 2, come up with main points about your subject that you will cover in your essay to support your thesis and that you will add to your working thesis statement. Finally, for step number 3, add the main points to your working thesis statement to make it a more solid and complex final thesis statement, fine-tuning the wording to make the main points and opinion flow together. Thank you for watching. If you would like to see more examples of using this 3-step thesis creation process, please see our video entitled More Examples of Thesis Statement Creation for Persuasive and Analytical Essays. Please feel free to check out our other videos for more writing tips, or if you need one-on-one help with something you're writing for a class, make an appointment or stop by the Writing Center. We would be glad to help you.